Well, we are back from South Carolina. I thought I'd get on here and make a little summary video of our journeys. It was quite an adventure. We pulled out here, like I'd mentioned last week. We pulled out here Friday morning, I'd say about 10 a.m. And we had a choice of going south down through Dallas and then heading east to South Carolina, or going north to the I-40 and heading east, going through Memphis, and maybe have some blues on Beale Street, have some barbecue at the Blues Cafe. And we really want to do that, so we chose to ignore the snowstorm weather warning. And besides that, I figured it'd be prettier to look at snow than rain down south. But I didn't think the storm was going to be that bad. And mercy, we came out of Little Rock, and that snowstorm hit us, and it was just deadlocked on I-40. As far as the eye could see, it was semis and cars over the hills at a dead stop. And then you couldn't see nothing because it got dark and snowy and icy, and it took us probably 3 hours to go 30 miles. It was bad. We pulled off and got a motel room and thought we'll stick it out until in the morning, check out of the motel room late, let everything melt down a little bit, let the traffic wear down the ice, and we'll be all right. So the next morning, sure enough, we headed out, got back on I-40, and we went about 4 or 5 miles down I-40, and bam, hit that dead stop traffic again. Apparently all of the trucks, 18-wheelers and cars that were in the ditches were now being towed out and pulled out of the ditches by tow trucks, which they had to block I-40 to do that. So we fought with that all the way, and finally it broke loose and got into Memphis. We had some good barbecue on Beale Street, and then headed southeast down into Mississippi, going through Tupelo, and then into Alabama, heading toward Birmingham. Well, just as we crossed into Alabama, got a call from my stepdaughter-in-law, my daughter-in-law. She was coming out to see her husband, my stepson's graduation. She was riding Greyhound with her 7-year-old daughter, and they got as far as Ruston, Louisiana. And the bus driver, there was a dispute with the bus driver. Her and the bus driver got into it about something apparently, and he flat kicked her off the bus in a little bitty town in Louisiana with the little station that they had stopped at, the bus stop. It was actually closed, and that bus drove away, leaving Ashley there with Brindley, her 7-year-old daughter. The lights turned off in the parking lot and everything. So anyway, they called us, and we had to flip a U kind of and head back toward Louisiana, and it ended up being, it was 300 miles there and then 300 miles back to the point where we were when we started the detour. So it was a 600-mile detour. But we made good time on it. And we were just anxious to get there and make sure Ashley and Brindley was okay. That was the main thing. And that's a whole other thing. I'll hear a lot of comments on Greyhound behind this. And I'm not going to go into the dispute right now and what happened with her and the driver. But so it was, when we got there, they were okay. They were cold, but they were okay. And so we enjoyed having them in the car, and being able to drive the rest of the way with them. And we got into South Carolina and had the festivities for the graduation, and it was nice. Of course, Columbia, South Carolina is just another big city, and I'm not thrilled about driving around in big cities every day. I was in Los Angeles until I was 25 years old, off and on, and mostly in my driving years until I was 25 years old in California, Southern California, and I'm burnt out on big cities. Like when I drive to work every day, I drive 25 miles with a lake on my left. Right now. So anyway, so Columbia was cool though. I mean, just simply being with my stepson and Ashley and Brindley and everything. And then we came back, and of course the weather's changing, and you can tell my voice is bad. By the time we got back in last night, of course we did stop at Beale Street on the way back and have more barbecue at the Blues Cafe. Good stuff. And oh yeah, a little bit of trivia. I was sitting here in this Blues Cafe, and on the menu it has a little thing up there that you read, and it says, if these walls could talk, it would tell you about the many stars and legends, even presidents that have eaten here. And so I read that and it said, so don't be surprised. It said, don't be surprised if you look at a table next to you and see someone you recognize, or someone famous or something. Well, I just read that and put it down, put the menu down, and turned around and looked at the table next to me, and this fellow sitting next to me about 3 feet away, he had the biggest ring that just caught your eye, biggest ring I'd ever seen. And of course I took a second look at it, and I'm sitting there looking at his ring, trying to let him see me looking at his ring, and it was a Super Bowl ring. It was huge, and this guy, he was a big boy. He probably retired. It looked like he maybe pushing, maybe pushing 50 years old, but it was a Super Bowl ring. It was, so it was kind of neat that that menu said that, and then I actually turned around and seen somebody that played in the Super Bowl sitting next to me. But anyway, so we had our barbecue and we headed on back, and by the time I got back to the house last night, oh, that cold had just kicked my butt. But so my voice is still gone, my sinuses are still plugged up, but overall I enjoyed it. When we hit the road right here to the house, we had put 2,900 miles on that trip, and I'm ready for another 2,900 later. I better go make some more money, and then before the year's out, try to take a couple more of them. I like my road trips. Thought I'd give you a summary of that, and there it is.